Almost there. Okay. Oh, sorry about the delay. My internet's a little bit slow. So Gary, Tony, and Julie, welcome. I'm going to share my screen and try to share my MT5. And I believe you can see it. Right, just let me move myself out of the way. And okay, so Crossfire Trading Assistant. In the afternoon, we do these 5 pairs, which are on the screen at the moment. I'm gonna, I said on my last meeting, I'm hoping that these sessions will turn into question and answer sessions, and some of the questions I'm hoping to get in advance so I can sort of provide the answers on the live. And part of the reason for that is some of you will know in the winter I generally go to Thailand, and I'm away in 2 weeks' time. So there is a time difference. London is 7 hours behind Thailand, and New York is 12 hours behind Thailand. So there can be some difficulty in doing a live session. So what I'm hoping to do is, where it's not possible to do a live session, to do a recorded Q&A or frequently asked questions, if you like. So as many questions as you like, you can send them to me in advance, and I'll use those as the basis of a recorded session for an emergency use. So that's going to start in the 2nd of December, I'm away. So I'm just going to say what I see on the screen. They're all set up in exactly the same way. So I'm going to choose one of them and go through what I see on the screen. Now, the first thing that strikes me is there's a red line here, and that is indicating that there is news, and it's high impact news in 28 minutes time. So I'm guessing that is the normal or the usual US dollar or Canadian dollar 130 news. It says 15:30. I read that as 13:30 because my broker is 2 hours ahead of me. But that's reminding that there is high impact news, and my Crossfire assistant is programmed to not to get me into a trade. I believe it's from 5 minutes before to 5 minutes after. Now I'm just going to check that.
Excuse me, Richard, can I just interrupt you there? They're your Mon Crossfire pairs, aren't
they? Yes, you're right. Okay, so thanks for pointing that out. What I do is I go up to this icon here, which if you click on it, it says Manage Profiles, and I go to my afternoon session. Oh, that's more like it. Anyway, thanks for pointing that out, Gary. Would have been wasting my time. So we've got a little bit more to explain here. So we've still got some 15:30 US dollar news coming along. That remains the same. There's 2 other vertical lines. There's a white vertical line which signifies the 1 o'clock UK point, and then there's a green vertical line which indicates the 15 minutes past 1. So if you're in New York time zone, that's 8 a.m. and 8:15 a.m. And I was just going to check that I've got my settings correctly. So I'm just going to right click on the chart and go to expert list, and I want to look at Euro US And I'm just going to check that everything else is okay, because I was playing around with some things over the weekend. So I'm going to go straight to the news. My new settings, yes, that's correct. My new settings are I wanted to show me the calendar. I wanted to stop trading during news, and I want that to be from 5 minutes before to 5 minutes after. But I only wanted to take notice of high impact news. And if you click on that and toggle it, it gives you the option. You can ask it to be aware of moderate news, low news, or non-news. And I've chosen to only take notice of high impact news from 5 minutes before to 5 minutes after. That is something you can change for yourself if you feel more comfortable with 10 minutes before and 5 minutes after, or 10 minutes before and 10 minutes after. That's entirely up to you. These are the settings that you can change. Now, I'm just looking at a couple of other things. This 900 is looking back to 10 p.m. UK time, so that's 900 minutes. And that's the start of today's Asian session, so that's correct. I'm wanting it to trade for 180 minutes, so I'm wanting to start at 1 p.m. UK time, and I want it to continue looking for trades until 4 p.m. UK time. There's something else I need to just double check, and that is it's starting at 1300 hours, so that's 7 minutes ago. You don't need to put an end of trading time because that's already covered in this 180 minutes. I'll come back to these settings later, but I want to check that I've got down at the bottom. Yeah, so I've got this is an error. We've got two actions for diagnostics. And it's just the title that's incorrect. This one should say that this one should not be diagnostics. This should be showing the WAE information in this panel on the near the top right. So if I turn that to false, that information will disappear. But I like to be able to see it. So I'm just going to check one more thing and then go back to my chart. So these are the same settings I've been using for a while now. Did I change something else? So I want it to limit my loss in this session to 2%, but that's spread over 4 pairs. But that's okay. That's what I want. So I don't need to look any further. Right. So this gap between the white line and the green line represents the 15 minutes of time. So if we were looking at a 50, I need to click algo trading, otherwise it won't take any trades. I need to do something else as well, because you see this white hat in the very top right hand corner. That's actually white and it should be blue. So I've obviously changed something. So I'm going to look in view. I'm going to look in Navigator, and on this pair, look, can you see I've got 3 blue hats and 1 white hat, or it probably looks more like grey. So if I right click on that and click on algo trading, I've now got 4 blue hats. That's what I want. So algo trading is switched on and it's on all 4 pairs. Let me just get rid of that. So if you remember when I was trading Crossfire manually, I used to start off on the 15-minute chart, and I used to look at the end of the 15-minute candle, I should say. We were looking at one 15-minute candle. Because I'm now looking at the 2-minute chart, we've got multiple candles, but the basis is still the same. We're going to look for the high point in this time period here, and then we're going to look left and look for the nearest higher candle. If there isn't a near higher candle during today's session, we would have drawn a horizontal line across the top of that candle there, assuming that is the high point that it goes to. And then we look at the bottom, and that's the lowest point in this 15-minute session, and we look left, and that's the nearest lower. It may, because the trading assistant is using the 15-minute time frame to draw the trend lines, they may look slightly out, but we've tested it, and they're pretty accurate. What I'm expecting in about 4 minutes time is the trading assistant will automatically draw a red trend line and a green trend line, and we can start looking for trades. And if price goes above the green trend line, the trading assistant will automatically start looking for buy trades. And if it goes below the red trend line, it'll start looking for sell trades. There's a couple of other things. I didn't have time to do this, so I'm going to go through this. This is what I do before I start trading every session. I'm going to right click on there. I'm going to check my indicator list. And you can see I've got one there, which is duplicated. So that the HA smooth is referring to the smooth Heiken-Ashes. And my smooth Heiken-Ashes are these bright green bars going up and bright red bars going down. And that point there is where this is what we call the wave up, wave down, and the change is at that point there. But I don't need two lots of smooth. They're actually showing one lot of smooth, and that's because they're both the same value. They're both 13. I'm just going to double check that. So I'll click on that, double click on that, and it's giving me a value of 13. So that one I want to keep. The other one I can get rid of. I don't need two. It's just going to slow my computer down. There are 3 moving averages programmed into the trading assistant. I'm only using 2. So I'm using the yellow line, which is the 13 moving average, and the white line, which is the 200 moving average. The other one is sort of in between, but I've actually reset mine so that I've literally got two 200 lines on my screen at the minute, obviously superimposed. The thing I was going to change was the water atta. So if I double click on that and go to colors, I like, see down here there's a blue line and an orange dashed line. I like the white. I like that blue line to be white, and I like to make it a bit thicker. But the main reason for coming into this was to double check that I haven't got duplicate indicators. So I've got show pips, which is this one up here, which when the trading assistant gets me into a trade, it'll tell me how many pips up or down I am. This refers to the number of pips spread. The 3-4 is not 3 or 4 pips, it's 3 or 4 points. So that's 0.3 of a pip spread at the moment on this pair. And then this one is actually just counted, it's a clock, it's counting down to the next candle, the next 2-minute candle. So I've got, I'm just going to, we now, we're still out of session. It's going to be, when this candle finishes, this should change to looking for a trade. Just bear with it 1 second. If anybody's got any questions, please shout out or type them into chat. Three, two, one. Okay, so there's my trend lines. So it's looked at the highest point in that 15-minute period, and it's found that the nearest higher candle is way over to the left. I can't zoom in. I may be able to zoom in a little bit. Yeah, you can see it's it's there. If I click on that icon there, I can then scroll it backwards. So it's looking way back to a higher point there. So that's the nearest higher candle, and the nearest lower candle, but just undo that. So that was the lowest point in the 15-minute period, and it looked back and it found. Remember, it did this on the 15-minute chart, which is why it looks a little bit weird. But it's found the nearest lower candle on the 15-minute chart, and then it's placed them on whatever time frame you're trading on. So we've now got two. We've got a green trend line and a red trend line, and at the minute the price is in between the green and the red, and that's what we call no man's land. We don't ever take a trade when price is in no man's land. We wait for price to either come above the green line and we start looking for buys, or below the red line and we start looking for sell. Now, there's more information on this screen, and basically I can tell you that on the 13 moving average, the yellow line, the trend at the minute is an upward trend. The 200 moving average, the trend was a downward trend. It's now pretty much a flat trend. In fact, it might even just be pointing slightly upwards there. So the moving averages are indicating that we might be looking for a buy in a second. The wave, if I take off the make those a bit bigger, and I take off. So I've now got what was the candles is now a green line, just so we can double check the wave.
Richard,
Yeah.
sorry, you asked for questions, and I thought
Yeah,
wait.
sure.
I thought I'd wait till I could interrupt you. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Are you've got 2-minute chart? Are you sticking more with the 2 than the 1?
I've tried well, as you know, I went down to 1 because originally on Crossfire we didn't have the option to go to 2. That's now changed. We've now got the option. So I've tried the 2. I've also tried the 5. I've had success with both of them, but I think for this week I'm going to stick to the 2-minute chart.
Yeah.
How much success we get.
Okay.
But I've had success with both the 2-minute and the 5-minute. And Oliver's on, so if anybody's got any technical questions, we can ask Oliver. So welcome. What I'm seeing here, I do a lot of saying what I see. I see that these bars, these wave bars, or they're actually smooth Heikin-Ashi candles, are very flat, aren't they? There doesn't seem to be an awful lot going on. It doesn't seem to be much upward pressure, but there is a bit of upward pressure. You can see with the price going up. It's now gone above my green trend line, and I guess when this current candle finishes, we should get look at a sign here that says looking for a buy signal. That didn't actually work. It didn't do as I predicted, but let's go back to candles. Where are we? Go back to candles there. You can see that there was quite a strong push up above the green trend line. So there we are. We've now got it saying looking for a buy signal, and that's because price is above the green trend line. So then the trading assistant says, right, I'm now only looking for buys. So then it looks at the Heikin-Ashi wave, and we've just had a look at that, and you can see that the wave is going upwards and has been trending upwards for quite some time. If I just make that a bit bigger, there've been that might just there, or that could be a candle. I'm not quite sure, but it's been trending upwards. What the trading assistant looks for is a change of wave. Now we've just had a change. No, we haven't. We've got a red candle. I'm getting ahead of myself. The wave is still as it was. And my trading system is programmed to look for a change in the wave pattern. So having seen that there is no change, certainly not recently, it stops looking any further. And it won't get me in for a buy. There are two other components that the trading system checks out. If we had a wave change, it would then look for an MA crossover. So the MA crossover occurred back here, but that is a crossover in an upward movement. So we've got conflicting information. We're kind of looking for a wave down because we've been in a wave up for some time now. We look for a recent change. And then the fourth component we look for is the water atta. And we've got a white line here, which is we call that the explosion line. We've got an orange dash line, which is the dead zone line. And we've got histogram bars. And the ideal situation for instance, here, looking for a buy, would be when the explosion line got above the dead zone line, was pointing away from the dead zone line, and the histogram bars were dark green and looking above the white explosion line. So that was a good time to get in for a buy. Rather than analyze all of that yourself, this information here is telling me that the water atta signal is one of no trade. That will change, and it will either change to short or long. But at the minute, we've got conflicting information. Price is still stuck in no man's land, so we're not going to take any trades right now. When it breaks out, we'll have a look at the second filter, and we'll analyze it further. So I'm just going to go and look at the other pairs. So we're looking at Euro US. I'm going to look at GBP US, see if there's anything going on there. So I'm just going to assume that the trend lines are going accurately. I've tested and tested and tested, and they sometimes don't look perfect, but if you check them out on the 15-minute candle, they're as near as needs to be. So price at the minute, looking at the green trend line and the red trend line, price is definitely below the red trend line. So my trading assistant is thinking, okay, so I'm now looking for sells. That's confirmed here, got a sell signal. We're waiting for more confirmations. The first thing we look for is, has there been a recent wave change? Well, there's a green wave. We're still in a green wave, but we're looking as if it's slowing down or it's weakening. We may well be getting into a red downward wave in the next couple of candles. So my trading assistant will wait for that. It's programmed to also look for the MA crossover. Now, one thing that can happen with the MA crossover, so just to remind you, that's the yellow line, the 13 moving average crossing over the 200 white line. One thing that can happen in this scenario is it can bounce. The yellow line may well bounce off the white line. So if we get into a situation where not only is price below the red trend line, so we're looking for a sell, if we get a red wave beginning to develop and we get the yellow moving average bouncing off the 200, that's 3 confirmations that we should be looking for a sell. And then the 4th confirmation would come down here, and this is saying no way. You don't want to be getting into a trade right now because the blue line is actually pointing down towards the dead zone line, and the histogram isn't even above the dead zone line, let alone the explosion line. So whilst I'm here, I'm just going to change that blue line there. See, we've got 2 smooths, so I'm going to get rid of one of them. I can live with those three. I'm just going to change that. Change that to white. Make it a bit thicker. So as you can see, the white explosion line is not suggesting either a buy or a sell. We want it to be above the dead zone, which it is, but we want it to be pointing upwards away from the dead zone. And then we want the histogram bars to be above the explosion line. So in an ideal world, we want these to be this dark red above the explosion line and the explosion line pointing away from the dead zone. I'm just going to change back to candles. So you can see we've got 3 red candles. We've also got a red wave, Heikin-Ashi wave bar. I'm going to change that. So it's just there. So we've been in a green upward wave. We've just, on this current candle, started on a red wave down. So that's suggesting to me that we might be looking for a sell. So we're still looking for a sell over on the right-hand side, but we're not ready yet. I'll be keeping an eye on this. I'll be looking for it to change to short. And when that changes to short, I've got the option. I think in my settings at the moment, I'm ignoring the MA crossover. It is quite a useful tool, but it's not absolutely necessary. And what I would say is, if price is below the red trend line and we're in a red wave, and what ATA is definitely telling me I should be in for a sell, I can ignore the fact that we haven't had that the MA is either running in parallel with the 200 and hasn't crossed over, hasn't been above and then come back, or and I can get into a trade without that crossover in my current settings. You may want to have the MA crossover as part of your settings. That's entirely up to you. However, if you feel that you should be in for a sell, you can always override the trading assistant by pressing B for buy or S for sell, and the trading assistant will follow your instructions. That's not likely to happen just yet because prices sort of moving sideways, isn't it? It's not, there's no strong movement in either direction. The water ATA is telling me to keep out, so I'll just sit on my hands and do nothing. I'm going to go back to the other 2 players. Then I've got a couple of questions from that I want to answer. This one, we're still in, well, we just popped our head out above the green trend line. We were in no man's land and we just tried to get out, but we didn't quite make it. It popped its head above and then it's come back down again. So price is still in no man's land. So it's still saying buy signal because it recognized, there we go, there's the news. There's the news. We have this red line telling us that, or warning us that there was high impact news, and that is the news that's just made the price tank all the way down there. I'm going to go back to Euro US and see what's happening on the right. So Euro US wasn't affected by that news. The news that I saw on Forex Factory was affecting the Canadian dollar. And you can see that whatever the news was, it didn't impact on the US dollar and the euro. So I'm going to look at the Canadian dollar. So you can see it's impacted there. Prices just suddenly shot down there. And we'll have a look at the other pair, the other Canadian dollar pair. Right, we need to put candles on. Okay, so there's a big red candle. Price is tanked. Now, my view on high impact news is I don't want to be in a trade when that comes along, and that is exactly the reason why prices shot down. If you were expecting price to go up and you were in for a buy, your stop losses buy has obviously been taken out, and it may well have been taken out if you were looking for a sell, because what we can't see because of this red line is there might well be a wick up there, so they may well have just been on a stop hunt. Tell you what, I'll go to the news and I'll take the news indicator off and just see if that theory is correct. So I'm going to right click, expert list. I'm on GBP card. If I just remove the news, so it says show the calendar. So I'll change it, I'll toggle that to false, and we'll go back and have a look. Well, surprisingly, it didn't. There wasn't an upward wick. There was only a downward wick. That's unusual, but it happens. So the indicator list, I'm just going to. I should have done this before I started, but I was late. Change that to white. Now, we get a lot of people watching the recording on YouTube, so I think it's only fair to point out that indicator panel that I've just looked at. It's the indicator list that I've just looked at. Whatever indicators you've got on this panel here are for visual purposes only.
What's the three MA indicators you've got on there, Richard? What readings are they?
Well, I'll go through them just to double check, but I believe I've got 13 and I've got two 200s. And I'll just double check. So there's my 13. So I'm happy with that. This is going to be a 200. There we go, 200. And so I'm happy with that. I could, in theory, remove this one.
Right.
I'll just double check it. It's a duplicate. You see, it's another 200. So if you wanted to, you could just delete that, and then you've got everything in this panel is shown on this screen. But the point I was going to make was it has absolutely no effect whatsoever on your trading assistant. So even if you had different settings on your Heikin-Ashi wave, or if you had different settings on your moving averages on the screen, your trading assistant will follow your settings in. I'm using the wrong word there. I'm just going to show you what I mean. I've got a 13 moving, so I've got a 13 wave setting on my indicator chart, on my indicator list. So the moving average, the Heikin-Ashi, is set on 13. Come on. So it's set on 13. So I've got a 13 moving average. But it doesn't take any notice of that. What it takes notice of is what I've got in my expert list. Now, by coincidence, you'll find that my settings is also 13. So if I went down to HA settings, so my Heikin-Ashi settings happen to be 13. And my trading assistant follows what I've got in my settings, in my expert list. It doesn't take any notice of what I've got on my screen. So check that your settings are as you want them, and by all means, well, as I've done, I've got my indicators to the same values as my settings. But if not sure if I'm explaining this properly, but whatever you've got on the screen does not affect the trading assistant if your indicators are different values to the expert list. I hope I've explained that. Right, okay, so remember I said that, showed you that the new setting in my case was set up to not get me into a trade from 5 minutes before until 5 minutes after. Well, we're now outside that period, so we're during that period, whatever happened on the chart, my trading assistant would not get me in. So that was from 13:25 to 13:35. Now, I'm now looking for trades. I'm going to put that new setting back on, and then we've got everything as it should be. So there's my new settings. I made that false just to prove a point, but I'm going to put it back to true. And that's, so you've now got the line. So do we want to get in to this for a sell? And in fact, not this pair, but the Euro card, this just got me into a sell. So I'm going to look at the Euro card rather than I suspect this will follow suit, but we need to look at Euro card. Now there's a bit of an issue because it's just got me out of that trade. You can see what the issue was. It got me in on this candle here. Got me in on that candle. So I've got another red line, but that's just making the point. So I'm going to tidy this up and then we'll analyze it. So this is going to be a valuable lesson. We were in a position where we were beyond the 5 minutes after the news, so we told our trading assistant to take trades if the criteria are all satisfied. Now we're below the red trend line, so that's one box ticked. We've had a recent wave change because these are red waves. Difficult to see. There we go. So there was a green Heikin-Ashi wave turned to a red Heikin-Ashi downward wave. So that is criteria number 2. We've got 2 things telling us we should be looking for a sell. As it happened, there was also a moving average crossover in the sell direction. And the Wada Atta, it must have changed now, but at that point, the explosion line was above the dead zone line and pointing away. And at the beginning of that bar must have been the same color as the previous bars. Otherwise, it wouldn't have triggered a sell. But it triggered a sell because all the criteria were indicating, but the actual price was going upwards. It wasn't in a sell situation. So what I should probably have done is, because we were still near the news, because we were getting contradictory signals, I'll put that back on. You see how price went down and then it started to go back up. This is something that you can only do if you're watching the charts. But having seen that price was going back up and that the trading assistant was looking for a sell, what I could have done was stop algo trading, and I could have paused that. Now you can't do that if you're leaving the algo trading system, the trading assistant working on its own, but that is one way around it. The other way around it is that you could have gone to View Navigator and you could have disabled it or paused it here and just uncheck the algo trading, and the hat goes to white rather than blue. So it's not going to take any trades on this pair until I correct that. So I'm just going to put algo trading back on. So there's an issue that we need to have a look at. Where everything was saying I should be looking for a sell, but price was obviously going up. It got me in because on that candle it was going down. But I guess there's nothing that we could do about that. It's actually one of those false or one of those situations that you've got to accept that you lost the trade. But it got me in. There's a red arrow and there's a blue arrow. That was why it got me out, because price spiked up there. Right, so whilst I've got that situation on there, I've had a couple of questions about these arrows. Sorry, I'll do that again. If you right click on your chart and you go down to trade history and you tick on that, you see those arrows have disappeared. I'll do that in reverse. So right click, trade history, those arrows have reappeared. And not sure if I can do that at the minute. No, I can't. But I'll do that when I'm in a trade. I'll show you something else. Right. So that was an unfortunate. It's got to be described as one of those things, because all the indicators, all of the filters that we use in the trading assistant were in line. All the ducks were in a row. All the boxes were ticked at that point, and then price continued to go up and took us out again. But let's have a look, see if we can find something useful in the other pairs. No, so the US pairs were totally unaffected by that news. They've just, this price has just continued to move gradually upwards, but there's nothing. If you look at the Wada Atta, it was setting up for a buying situation, but it then changed from dark green to light green, and the histogram came down. So that potential buy has disappeared for the time being. This one was never looking for a buy because the Wada Atta was the explosion line was definitely below the dead zone line, so there's nothing going on there. I had a question about stop loss pips. I think the best way to show that is to show how I deal with that would be to go to trading view. Sorry, I realised I just need to stop sharing that screen and start sharing a different screen. Right, so I think you can now see my trading view for Euro US. The question was, if I remember correctly, the question was, would I consider increasing the number of pips stop loss? So for instance, my set list for Euro US, I normally have 3/5. And the reason for the question was that the trade is taken out, or it's been taken out of the trade by a bit of a wick down. So I'll tell you, I've made a note of one that I could use as an example. So if I go back to what date do I want to go back to? Bear with me. That's not going to work. So I'll just have to improvise here. My training view needs to refresh, but bear with me.
Richard, could I ask one quick question, or just one quick
Yeah,
thing? Has anybody that's on today had any problems with on TradingView when you click on the calendar to go back to a previous date? I've got a ticket with TradingView because I try and do it and it doesn't go, and then I scroll back a bit and the cursor's stuck at a previous date, which is like 4 months in advance or whatever in the back, and it's just, then you've got to clear it and then it works, and it's a glitch. I don't know if anybody's experienced that recently.
yeah. I think I would go to refresh. I don't know if you can see near the top left hand where my cursor is.
Yeah.
I refreshed that and it wasn't working just a few minutes ago, and now I refreshed that and it reloaded it, and now I'm able to go where I want to be. So that would be my first option to.
Yeah, I've signed out and signed on and done a bit of that, and it's still doing it. But yeah, okay, I'll try that.
How far back is it going, Alistair?
On the time frame, whatever you're on, whatever screen you're on, whatever time frame, it doesn't show it on that screen. You've got to scroll back a bit left to find it, and then it just appears, and it's last. It says last candle available, but it's not at it's not the end of chart last candle. It's just in the middle of the candles. It just sticks there. Then you clear it, and then it goes away, and you can then use the search calendar. And it is skull numbingly annoying. It just really does.
Because it only goes back a certain number of candles, doesn't it? So if you're on, for example, the 1 minute time frame, it'll only go back a number of candles.
Yeah,
so it's not very far.
Yeah, it's not that issue. No.
Okay.
Because if you do the 1 minute candle, it goes back so many weeks, whatever. It finishes on the candle with the thing saying last one available, where mine's is the middle of the chart. So this candle's still to the left of the sign that says last candle available, but the candles are there. So yeah, it's a bit nutty. Anyway, okay.
Sorry, can't help you on that one.
Oh well. Cheers.
I'm going to go back to a trade that I lost on the 15th, which I think was Friday. So my entry was at 14.17. So the point we're looking at is, would we ever consider increasing the number of pips stop loss if you suspected that you've just been whipped out by a small amount of pips? So let's have a look. I'm looking for 14.17. So that was my entry. And if I'll try and find my entry level. So my entry level was 0.5435. No. EU. I'm on the wrong pair. So that was wasted. Euro US. Okay, so I'll start again. So I'm going to go go back to the 15th at 13:45. And that's there. So I'm now looking for 14:17. It looks like that candle there, and my entry was at 05435. I'll settle for 05436. So that was my, I was in for a sell. Yeah, I was in for a sell. If I put my short position on, so this is how I will back test my my trades. I need the entry to be on that line there, and I need this to be 3 pips. .1 is near enough. My take profit would have to be 6 pips. Okay, so you can see that I was taken out. So price did almost get down to my target, but before that I was taken out. And if that's the case, then I would consider, I would do a bit of back testing. I'd do what I'm just doing now, and I'd say, well, had I put a bigger stop loss on, would I have won that trade? Well, I would have had to have had a stop loss around about 6 pips to stay in that trade, which would mean that my if I'm looking for a risk to reward of 1 to 2, I would need 12 pips. Well, I must have done that wrong. Let me start again. So there's my short position. Getting in on that line there. If I've got a 3 pip stop loss, I would need a 6 pip take profit. Yeah, that's the bit that I did wrong. So try that again. This is lack of practice. Right. 3 pip stop loss. I'll settle for 3.1. So I need this to be 6.2. Okay, so as you can see, with a 3 pip stop loss, I would have been taken out before price got down to my target. So I've got to consider, would it be worth me increasing my stop loss? Well, I would have to increase my stop loss to round about there, 6.4. So my take profit would have to be 12.8. So if I'd stayed in, I would have hit my take profit. So is it worth me increasing my stop loss from 3 pips to 6 points well, from 3 to 6? And in this case, yes, the answer is yes. But what you've got to do is back test it a few times and see if that's a one-off or if it's happening regularly. If it was happening a lot, I would definitely consider increasing my my stop loss, because in this case, I would have definitely won that trade. without being taken out. So I made a bit of a mess of that, a bit of a hash of that, but if I was using TradingView a bit more often, it would come a lot easier. But that was I just picked that. That was a trade that I lost on Friday because I had a 3-pip stop loss. Had I increased my stop loss, I would have won that trade.
You know, like in the morning trades that, you know, with the New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar, you know, you've got like sometimes 5-pip stop loss. Didn't you, when you did it manually, did you used to go up to like consider up to 10 pips stop loss for those?
Yeah, I have to admit, on the morning session, partly because of the spread and partly because of the movement. The only reason we started looking at very tight stop losses, for instance, the Euro US, we started using the 3-pip stop loss, was that we not sure what you mean there. What's that?
I'm in a trade, GBP.
All right, okay, got you. Right, so I need to go back and just check that. So, but we started doing the 3-pip stop loss, and as a result of success on Euro US, I started tightening up my other pairs, and to be honest, I have had more successes than failures, but I might start looking at this, and if I mean, I would say that would justify, in this pair, in this case, that would justify increasing your stop loss. The downside of increasing your stop loss is that you target, if you double your stop loss to pips, you're also doubling your pips that you need to go in your direction. So you're making it a longer trade. But you know, that one proves it would have been right to do it. I'm just looking down here. Maybe that is another reason why I lost that trade, because the water at that point, the explosion line was moving away from the dead zone, but the histogram wasn't above the explosion line. So that was, if I'd been trading manually, I wouldn't have taken that one. I would have waited until that point there, and then it would have been too late. So the answer to the question, would I consider increasing my stop loss? The answer is yes, of course, I would consider it, but only after doing a reasonable amount of back testing and then trying it out on demo and seeing if it works for you. All options are possible. So I wouldn't discount it, but I'd be wary of the fact that I'm going to have to make twice as many pips to win the trade. So let me go. I go back to. I need to stop sharing that and go back to. Hopefully you'll be able to see my MT5. Now, I didn't get me into that trade for some reason.
I'm on the 1 minute.
On the 1 minute, okay. And it was GBP USD.
Yeah.
So if I go to charts, and I go to timeframes, and I change it to 1 minute. Just going to say what I see. We're below the red trend line, so we're looking for a sell signal. We've had a recent wave from upward green to downward red. And at that point, we also had an MA crossover. And if I put a vertical line on there, because this may well have changed, but on that candle there, everything was correct. So if I do my indicator change, some reason I've got too many moving averages, but change of colors. Make it a bit thicker. So at that point, the Wada Atta would have been, it wouldn't have said no trade, it would have said sell. And it would have got you in for a sell. You know, I'm trying to work out where GBP, I would normally go for 4 pip stop loss. If it got me in, this is just me messing around. Let's assume it got me in, for the sake of argument, halfway through that candle. So that was my entry. It has wicked up there, but did it wick up to 4 pips?
Mine's in 4 pips. It's not wicked it.
Doesn't wick it, okay. But I'm using the readings on the right hand panel, so 2634 to 2640 will do it as 2638 is the stop loss. There we go. So there's your stop loss. And I mean, you can obviously see this on your chart, but for everybody else's benefit, we're going to put the take profit needs to be down at 2634. We'll go down to 2626.
Yeah, that's where mine is.
Okay. So that's probably not 100% accurate, but that's roughly your stop. That's your entry point. That's your stop loss. That's your take profit. It got you in for all the right reasons. You're below the red trend line. You had a recent wave change. You've had a very recent moving average crossover, and the Wada Atta would have been indicating short. The scenario has changed a little bit since then, but that wouldn't put me off. I mean, I use the Wada Atta more as a way of keeping me out of trades and getting me into trade, and that would have definitely indicated I should be getting in for a sell. So the trading assistant's done its job. It's done everything you asked it to do. It's just taking its time. So,
Could I just check, please, because it's very small on my screen. Are you in GBP USD?
GBP US dollar, yeah, that one.
Okay, my trend lines are completely different to yours.
Are they?
Mhm. My
Uh,
red trend line is coming across halfway, about just above where your 200 is crossing current candles.
Just looking to see if Oliver's still on. And if he's able to speak.
Yeah, I'm here.
So we've got a potential difference in the trend lines. Oh well, not a potential, an actual difference in Helen's trend lines.
What's different with Helen?
My red trend line is currently coming across just above where Richard's 200 is. It's crossing price, probably it was just above my 200. And my green trend line is off the bottom of price. Price hasn't even got to my green one yet. But In theory, they're even the wrong way round. Because the green should be above the red, shouldn't it? And mine's, oh no, that's right. It is, yeah, that's right. But it's off the bottom of price. It hasn't even got to it yet.
It's on the same time.
I'm on the 1 minute. Are
That
you on
might be the difference. I think that might be the difference. I'm on a 3 minute and mine's slightly different to Richard's.
Okay, what are you on, Richard? I'm sorry, it's too small on my screen to be able to see.
I've just changed mine down to 1 minute because Alistair got
Okay.
in on the 1 minute.
Yeah, so it is the same time frame then. Don't know. Complete. I hadn't noticed it with any of the others you've been looking at. It's just when you've come back to this one now.
You want my set, Helen? Put it on.
Pardon?
You want my set file for my expert? Is that worth putting on?
Yeah, I'm quite happy to try it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm running Richard's set, so in theory it should be exactly the same.
The
Yeah, I know.
the red line, Helen.
Yeah.
How far back does it stop?
Just a minute. Let me scroll back. At about well, it's 129 on my chart. There or thereabouts. Sorry, I'm just trying to hover over it to get it to show me the candle time. Yeah, 1339 on the chart. So I guess that's
It's an hour
2 hours.
earlier.
Yeah.
Did it draw the vertical line on the chart at the same time as it is on Richard's? Or are you in a different, or is your chart a different time zone?
No, it's the same time zone.
Okay. Because when you look at Richard's, it's the same as mine. What it's indicating is because it's, let me just double check how many minutes back it is. It found the first lowest point in the first 15-minute candle, right? Whereas for you, it found it at the second 15-minute candle, possibly even the third.
Let me put it on the 15-minute time
What
frame.
the rule is that it looks at each 15-minute candle and it finds the first, looking backwards, first one lower than the low of the first 15 minutes after the white line.
So if I go
Does
to
that
the
make
15,
sense?
it's found sort of, yes, it's found the high and the low on the same candle, which is the 1345 candle.
It found the high and the low on the same candle.
Yeah.
Okay. 1345.
45. Well, that's the time the candle says if I hover over it.
Nice, and that's where the line stops, yeah?
Yeah. That's on the 15-minute time frame. If I come back to the 1 minute, I mean, it's the green line particularly is floating in space, but that's, I guess, because it's not actually hitting a candle.
Well, are we on the same currency? This is GBP USD.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I checked it with Richard before I said anything. Yeah.
Because you're saying the green line is saying that that's the highest point as well, and there's no way that's true.
Okay, let me go back and check again.
Can you send me some screenshots?
Yes, certainly. Yeah, I'll put them together and send them to you in a minute.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so it looks as if you're being stopped out, Alistair.
Spectacularly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one where I might
Well,
have moved the
there's
stock a
a-
bit. But
yeah, but hold on. GBP USD. There's a news that's just occurred.
yeah,
All right. So if you had the 5-minute news calendar, then it would have got you in 10. I'm still waiting for it to trigger.
okay.
We're currently at, yeah, it should be trade. It'll start looking for trades in the next candle.
Yeah, it might be with that coming up because it was in profit. Take the money and run a bit.
Yeah. Well, it's a pretty long candle. So whatever that news was, it took 3 or 4 minutes before it made an impact. Huh? New Zealand GBP price index. That means it got released at midnight. That's a bizarre time for that. But anyway.
But it did trigger, so that was good.
Yeah, did its job. Right, I'm overrunning. I'm happy to answer any questions, but otherwise, I'll.
Not a question, more an observation, Richard. I've had my news settings on moderate and it's not taken a trade at all. And never even come off being in the news. When I've checked on the news or its factory, the G20 news, it's moderate all day. So if your settings are on moderate, it won't take a trade, will it? It's
Yeah,
going to constantly have you in the news.
yeah.
So that's just an observation. And then the other one is when you're saying about the diagnostics on the bottom of the inputs screen, where there's two, one possibly named slightly wrong. I'm on version 2.01 and it only shows one on there. I need 204. Has anyone got that they can send me?
I can find that for you.
As I say, the main thing is if your news settings are on moderate today, you're not going to get any trades because of the G20 summit. It's showing moderate all day on their Forex Factory.
Yeah. Okay. I'll send you that, Tony. I'll sign off and then I'll send it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's me done. Thank you.
Version 2.04. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay. Right. Okay. So, any last questions before I call it a day? Thanks for jumping on, and I shall be back on Thursday at 1 p.m. So catch you later. Cheers now.
Thanks, Richard.
Yes,
I'll
thank you.
send those
Cheers,
now,
everyone.
Oliver.